Chapter 12. Love Don't Live Here Anymore. Perry held the invitation from Emma with trembling hands. She, Olivia, and Billy were cordially invited to spend the entire summer on the vineyard. It was going to be an 8-week reunion with a very specific purpose. At the end of the 8 weeks, Emma would decide which one of her 3 goddaughters would take over the deed to her Oak Bluffs home. The girls knew Emma had spent less and less time on the bluffs since Omar had passed. They were sad but not surprised that she had decided she needed a new summer tradition, although it was hard to imagine what that could be. It was just like Emma to send a formal engraved invitation out of the blue. Also, very Emma to have cleared it with Perry and Olivia's bosses. Sometimes, every once in a while, she forgot just how wealthy and connected Emma was. But then, Emma did something like this. Only a woman with tremendous power would call a major law firm, ask if her goddaughter could have the summer off, and expect that to fly. But with Emma, it always did. Making the impossible possible was Emma's superpower. Work was a grind. A summer on the vineyard would be a perfect reprieve. But Emma would expect Perry's husband to come up on the weekends, and therein lay the problem. Her husband, Damon, had, at Perry's request, moved out 2 weeks ago. He had been outraged when she suggested that he was the father of Sabrina Cotton's baby. Sabrina, Damon's very single and very pregnant friend. When Perry confronted Damon, he denied it, empathetically, but she was still not sure. "Are you crazy?" he'd asked incredulously. "Have you lost your goddamn mind?" She showed him the video and he groaned. "Come on now. Can you not tell I'm kidding about the baby's name?" She opened the calendar on the phone and pointed out that Sabrina had likely gotten pregnant when she and Damon were both at the Pregnant Plastics Convention in Turks and Caicos. Damon paced the apartment nervously. "Come on, Perry. You're a smart woman, the smartest woman I know. Please don't come at me with this Wendy Williams gossip queen. Don't know shit about shit conjecture." "I'm not crazy, Dee," Perry said, standing at their dining room table, leaning on it as she might a banister in court while presenting her case. "If it wasn't a big deal, why did you lie to me about the shower? I checked Sabrina's Facebook. Miss No Privacy Settings because my life is an open book. The night of her shower, you told me you were going to a cigar bar with the guys, then to Keen's Steakhouse. Why would you make up such an elaborate lie?" "You're right," Damon said. "I did lie about that. But only because Sabrina is a friend, and you can't seem to handle that. You've always had this weird problem with her. You've never liked her. I would have gotten cut from the med program if Sabrina, Dean, and Jeremy didn't have my back." Perry was still in prosecuting attorney mode. "So who's the baby's father?" Damon tried to hedge. "Is that your business, P?" She wasn't having it. "Really? You're going to try that?" He said, "I'll tell you the truth, but don't act crazy." She thought she was going to lose her mind. It was all too much. Just too damn much. Did he donate sperm to that bitch? Was he the baby's biological father? Damon stammered. "Sabrina doesn't know who the baby's father is. Things got a little wild in Turks and Caicos, and she slept with more than one guy that weekend. Everyone was pretty drunk." What the hell did that mean? Perry wondered. Everyone was pretty drunk. Would that include you, Damon? Damon looked away. She knew him. He seemed embarrassed, ashamed. Perry was done. I want you to go. Damon now looked confused. Wait, what? Perry's voice was even but firm. Trial separation. Whatever you want to call it, I want you to move out. Damon looked like he was going to cry. She'd never seen him so devastated, and yet she couldn't reel it back. He begged her, "You're throwing me out? You're throwing us away? Are you for real right now?" She was silent. A tear rolled down Damon's face. I knew from the day I saw you standing on that yellow linoleum floor, cooking red beans and rice, that you were the one. But if I'm not the one for you, I will go. Just know that if you ask me to go, you better mean it. Perry walked out of the room and left him in the dining room, hands clenched, jaw clenched, eyes steely, more tears streaming down his face. She had never seen him cry. She handed him an overnight bag into which she'd packed 2 days' worth of clothes. Then she waited at the door until he walked through it. He stood on the threshold of their apartment and said, "Are you done with this marriage, Perry? I'll go, but you better think long and hard about what you're doing and what you want, because this is how you do it. This is how you break my heart. This is how you break us." Damon spent the first week on his mother's couch, but a week was all he could take. Then he found an affordable Airbnb near the Palisades in New Jersey, near to where he often did surgery. She wondered about his little buddy, Sabrina. If he had cheated on her, could she get over it? If it wasn't his baby, could she forgive him? Was his cheating her fault? And if it was his baby, could she get past it? She was going to beat Sabrina's Botox pregnant ass. Deep down she realized she was more jealous that Sabrina was pregnant than anything else. Why did she get a baby by accident when Perry could not on purpose? How was this going to end? She had no clue. Her parents had been married for 40 years and were still holding on. They never fought, but they weren't love doves either. It was like they seethed with anger, and the way they punished each other was by never ever leaving. Perry had watched Amma and Omar's marriage carefully for clues, but their relationship was equally mysterious. Amma was clearly queen to his consort, the head sister in charge. Omar wasn't docile, just quietly happy to hang back in the cut. If she was honest with herself, Perry thought Damon would have been her Omar. She could be the rock star. He'd be the strong, silent type. But this mess with Sabrina and his bad influence bestie Jeremy threw a wrench in all of that. She had to stand up for herself. She did the right thing by asking him to go, right? Perry wasn't sure. She started to miss Damon within days of him moving out. She needed answers. She wanted to fix it, to set up couples therapy, maybe a little weekend getaway to the Caribbean. If they could work it out, she would woo him back and figure out a way to keep Jeremy at an arm's distance. But she was leading a multi-district securities litigation case, and the firm had to submit a response in court in less than a week. And she left each morning when it was still dark and came home every night hungry and tired. Her boss had been in Alcoholics Anonymous, and he told her that the most important thing he'd learned in the 12-step program was to halt. Before you made any big moves, you should stop and ask yourself, are you hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? She had quickly come to suspect that she was hungry, angry, lonely, and tired when she asked Damon to move out. Now she was too hungry, angry, lonely, and tired to figure out how to properly fix things. To add insult to injury, if she asked him to come back now, he would think she was trying to save face with Emma. She kicked off her high-heeled shoes and went to answer the door. She was expecting a delivery from Karma Cafe. Damon didn't like Indian food, so she'd been ordering up a storm since he'd moved out. She opened the door and was surprised to see her friend Nikesh, the very handsome son of the restaurant's owner. Hey, it's good to see you, Nikesh. But what happened to Rai? She asked. Rai was the delivery guy for the Karma Cafe. VIP service for a VIP customer. I saw the order was for you, so I offered to bring it over, Nikesh said, handing her the bag. My dad says, this is your third time ordering this week, Perry. That's a new record for you. You know how I feel about your mom's chana masala, she says, smiling. It's so good. Nikesh paused and looked around. How have you been? He asked. You haven't stopped in the restaurant in a minute. I miss our little chats over a glass of lassi. Perry blushed. They talked whenever she went to the restaurant, which was whenever Damon went out of town for work. She knew she went out of her way to flirt with him anytime he smiled at her. Then she sighed. I've been better. Not the best these days. Nikesh smiled. You look like you could use a friend. Let me take you out for a real meal. Perry was tempted. She knew that Nikesh was in his third year at NYU Stern School of Business. He was a few years younger than her, but she didn't mind robbing the cradle. She wondered if Damon had been out on any dates during their break. She didn't want to think about Damon and Sabrina. I can't, she said. It is a very tempting offer, but I can't. Then she said the words that every single person hates to hear. It's complicated. He looked disappointed, which was a huge bump for her ego. Too bad, he said. You know, she said, suddenly thinking of Billy. I have a little sister who is single. He shook his head. Thanks, but no thanks, Perry. I'm the oldest son of an oldest son. Every mother at our mosque wants to set me up with someone. I can pick my own dates. Believe it or not, I'm kind of a catch. I believe it, Perry said, slowly looking him up and down. Sensing Perry's hesitation to say no, Nikesh leaned over and kissed her on the cheek. Let me know if your situation gets less complicated. I will, she said, smiling. She closed the door and subconsciously put her hand to her cheek. His lips felt nice against her skin. She'd spent a lot of time wondering if Jeremy had corrupted Damon during their many medical conferences and freebie pharma trips. She had been so preoccupied with whether he had crossed the line even a little bit. Even if the baby wasn't his, it didn't mean he didn't sleep with her, or kiss her, or whatever with her. And here she was in her own living room, and she'd just been picked, and she liked it. She took off her suit's pants. Adios, pantalones, and sit cross-legged on the carpet in front of her couch. She'd laid the roti out on the table and poured herself a glass of Shiraz. Then she turned on her favorite guilty pleasure, the world's most extraordinary homes. What would her and Damon's life be like if Emma gave them her house? They'd spend whole summers there. Their future kids would get to grow up on the inkwell, and they would be far, far away from Jeremy and his trashiness. It would be everything she'd ever dreamed of and more. She needed to be honest with Damon, and she hoped he'd understand. She wanted to try and figure things out. She also wanted Emma's house. The two were not mutually exclusive.